Greetings from Panama. I'm not going to say good morning from Panama because it's not a good morning for me. I'm super frustrated. I felt prey to being human once again, and I took the first loss of the series, 64%, and it feels super uncomfortable. There it is. Stop loss, 64%, 0.7. Really, really bad feeling, and not a great way to start the day. Now, with that said, there's also positives that's come from this. And sometimes it's good for things to go wrong so that we can learn our lessons and take them into the greater world of trading. Now, I seldom fall into this trap, and I did last night. So here are the three things that I did wrong. Okay, so number one is I traded tired. Now, when you trade tired, you become more sloppy. You don't put the same amount of focus, effort, or clarity into your decision making, and it gets you to rush in. So, for those reasons, that alone means I absolutely deserve this loss. So, guys, make sure when you're trading, don't trade just because you're bored, and don't trade when you're tired. Again, it'll make you sloppy, and you'll rush into things unnecessarily. Number two, as I was feeling the high of the win streak. I mean, come on, we had 400%, 400% in 2 weeks with 0% losses. What could go wrong, right? Got to keep that going. Untouchable. Can to keep that going. Bang, loss. Sloppy. So, number one, don't trade tired. Don't get sloppy. Number two, be careful when you're winning. That come down after taking a loss from a win streak is the most unnecessary frustration you'll ever feel in your life. So just monitor yourself alongside your trades, especially the wins. The wins are when you're the most vulnerable to get sloppy. So that's the second thing that went wrong. And number three, from a technical perspective, I traded in the accumulation zone. Absolute no-no. And for that, I suffered a fake out. Uncomfortable stuff, guys. Really uncomfortable stuff. So for my students, you'll well know, inside this Gantt square, we've got a red arc over here. That red arc says if you put a trade in within this red arc, you're at the risk of suffering a loss. And because I was tired, because I was feeling a high of the win streak, I got in over here and it didn't progress in any way, shape, or form in that direction. Instead, it went to stop loss and bang, there it is, waking up to my minus 64%. Going back to the MTOPS Criterion in this devastating circumstances, we're down 64%. That's terrible results. Absolutely not great, not good enough. Maybe for others. For us, it's actually not that bad. So let's say, for example, we had a $1,000 account. The MTOPS Criterion would have spat out a 5% allowance for this trade. So yeah, I was tired and I got in a bit sloppy, but I could also see with the higher frames as I quickly looked over them that there wasn't strong confidence at the time for us to go long. And there's another point actually that I would like to talk about, so we'll get back to that next. So I was looking into this. I know because of the factors already mentioned that this would have only acquired a 5% of my capital into this trade. So say, for example, for easy maths, you have a $1,000 account. That would have attracted 5% of account position, which would have been $50. So $50 would have gone into the trade, and taking a 64% loss of $50 on a $1,000 account would have equated to minus $32. So again, not the end of the world. We got to find the positive and the negative. So all I'm going to take today is a learning lesson for those who see what it's like on the other side. But thanks to the MTOPS Criterion, we don't necessarily get permission to go, okay, don't look at that just yet. That's not to do with yesterday's trade. But if, for example, okay, let's just set this up quickly. So to keep waiting, guys, but I promise to be worth it. Say, for example, we get a 13% to get in. That bandwidth says that, okay, so this score puts us into a bandwidth. That bandwidth says that we're only allowed to trade 5% of our total account. If it goes higher than a certain threshold, and this is for paid material and for my students, we all know that it requires a 10% of account, and a certain threshold above that is 15% of account. So this one would have required only a permission of 5%. So once again, on $1,000 account, they would have given us a 5% allowance, which would have equated to a $50 trade at minus 64%, which is uncomfortable. We would have just lost $32. So through the bad, there is also good. And that's what we've found here today. Another thing from the technical perspective, and this is more of my higher students, more experienced guys will notice this, there was a inverse symmetrical triangle that formed here. So it was some risky business because over here we got a higher low, lower high, lower low, higher high. So the inverse of a triangle just to buy us time to get into the new continuation of the downtrend that we've been seeing. So this here is almost like a no trade zone. And within this zone, what the market's trying to acquire is just a bit of breathing space, a bit of time to move across to the actual segment where it wants to do something. So over here, once again, it looks as if we could go to the upside just from the naked eye. But if we had to go to the high time frames, you'll begin to see that it isn't looking as strong as one would hope. And if we bring this little pizza slice closer to where price action is at the moment, we could see that it's trying to get to this line over here. Let me just emphasize it clearer. Guys, repetition is the mother of skill. So even if you don't understand this at first, which as I've always said, is a really good thing because this is innovation technology, then just pay attention to it now, and the more you see it, the more it will come through. And I'm talking to my students in particular because we literally get training on this, so I understand the theory and the practical of what we do. So this is coming through to what looks to be the 1/8. So if I move this setting away, you see the line disappears. When I bring it back, the same line comes back. That's when I say the 1/8 line is where we could see the next drop off from there. Okay, so right now, I'm not 100% confident that it'll do that, but it's just one of the probabilities. So we pop down to this cycle over here to have a look at the structure. And once again, it seems to be hugging this 1/4 line on this particular gain square. See how it came up, found resistance at that level. It didn't go up to there as anticipated. Instead, has found support along this arc, but also hugging this 1/4 line quite neatly as well. So from a market structure, it looks like we're still going down. And even up here, not that I use this very much on the higher frames, it seems to be further down action anticipated. Which brings us into this market. If we had to take this all away, which I won't do right now, I can automatically tell that this turning point might be a shallow one for formation on the third turning point. So if you've been onto my YouTube channel, you will see over there that we've got video content that is free and available to you. I highly recommend you use it for these reasons, that you get to understand what turning points actually mean, what the structure and cycles actually mean, and you can have an insightful conversation with yourself as you see these daily markets happen every day, market updates happen every day. Cool. So as you can see now, we're back toying around in this accumulation zone on this turning point 2. So the actual turning point 2 wasn't confirmed correctly because I was sloppy, and that's my mistake. But should it come out of this range, then we can consider turning point 3 to be around about here, which again means that we're in a downtrend overall. As confusing as trade would be because we have a higher low over here, but overall, coming out of a symmetrical triangle, it's more than likely that we're going to go down. But because we're unsure, for today's MTOPS criterion, we're going to give a market structure 0, which automatically takes us into the red zone to say, puts us into a no trade day, which I wish I didn't trade because I won't have stuff at this loss that's going to stick with me now. Okay, so time projection on the 2 to calculate there. I'll say that's looking pretty solid. If it is a downtrend, where it is over there would be pretty decent. So I need that as a 2. The oscillator, I don't know, it's a bit confusing right now. It looked pretty convincing over there, but I've yet to see a switch until this point. And there's another switch over there. So I mean, we could actually have the turning points sitting over here already, according to the information provided by the oscillator, but it's not clear. I'm not quite happy with that, so I'm going to go to here, give it a 1, and then price. To me, it looks like, did I get time and price incorrect? Okay, so time, let's have another look at time. So if it drops down to that range, I think time will be okay. It also syncs up with the sine wave. So time still gets a 2, oscillator gets a 1. Price will get a 2. That looks pretty neat over there, but it all depends on what happens outside that little accumulation zone. So price, I want to leave, I'm going to put it as a 2. Let's see what comes through. And then support and resistance. Buenos dias. That's in America, guys. It's amazing. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'll leave it at a 2. This trade will only acquire a 20% return on position, which overall says it's not a good idea to get in. So we're not going to get into a trade now. We're going to suffer that 64% loss and 5% off portfolio. Learn from our lessons, which again, don't trade tired, don't be sloppy, don't rush in, don't get arrogant because of the win streak that you've recently acquired, and as always, never trade inside the accumulation zone. With that said, I'm going to sign off for right now. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch up with you